Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Charlie Neff here.
Courtney here.
Derek here.
So we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, what a strategic mistake it is for anybody who is kind of under a microscope in a criminal investigation, in a wrongful death lawsuit, to go on television and spill your guts about what happened in the incident that you are now dealing with. Alec Baldwin did that, and it has come back to bite him.
It's nuts. We were thinking legally, though. When we initially saw him do that interview, we were
I think this is legally.
Yeah.
You know what?
it's a little different. Now he's losing the PR battle.
But I agree with you on that. But
Yeah.
the reason I say it's also legally is he is so pissed off the husband of the woman that Alec Baldwin shot that he is less likely to settle a lawsuit or more likely to settle it for more money. And there's now a criminal investigation, and the DA now knows how the victim's family feels. And that becomes relevant in making decisions. Whether it should or not, it does.
You're 100% right. You're right. The DAs sometimes are elected officials. They are answerable to the public.
So
and if they see the victims.
So let's get into what happened here. So we know that Alec Baldwin said that, he felt a lot of grief about what happened, which is obvious, and he clearly did, right? But he said he wasn't to blame.
He said he felt, that
Grief,
he felt
but no guilt.
Yeah, no guilt at all.
And also
grief
said
but no
he
guilt.
didn't pull the trigger as
Yeah.
well.
Said he didn't pull the trigger.
He gave a detailed description and even showed how he was holding it and everything.
And, look, there are experts who say the trigger has to be pulled. There is a school of thought that it could happen with a hammer. But more important than that even, in terms of the interview, is he said what he said about grief but no blame. And then he kind of blamed Halyna Hutchins by saying, she told me where to stand.
Yeah, that
Right.
she set it all up, that it was her call.
So her husband, Matthew Hutchins, went on the Today Show with Hoda Kotb and said what, frankly, was obvious he was going to say.
I just felt so angry. Just so angry to see him talk about her death so publicly in such a detailed way, and then to not accept any responsibility. Almost sounds like he was the victim. Hearing him blame Halyna in the interview and shift responsibility to others, and are we really supposed to feel bad about you, Mr. Baldwin? The idea that the person holding the gun and causing it to discharge is not responsible is absurd to me. Every individual who touches a firearm has a responsibility for gun safety.
I thought the emotions were
Wow.
so
Yes.
powerful. Remember, contrast this with Alec Baldwin, whose eyes were puffy, looked like he hadn't slept, was emotional, sort of crying. This is an upset, angry man. He's upset with Alec
But-
Baldwin. When he says, Mr. Baldwin, it sounds almost like, have you no decency? It's one of those moments where, how dare you? My wife was killed, and you're on television crying. You're the one crying.
And you side with
passing
him.
blame off other people. I thought this was so powerful. I think you're right. I think it changes the calculus for what's going to happen to Alec Baldwin, both civilly and criminally.
Maybe.
It could.
And, when you listen to him, it's like, how do you argue that truth? I mean, how do you
feel it.
Yeah, you totally feel it.
It's so sad. And especially because we saw him out with Alec Baldwin right after the incident happened. And they were going to lunch, they were hanging out. So I feel like if Alec didn't do this interview, he wouldn't be feeling this way towards him. And it wouldn't be so
I agree.
that interview just changed everything. And I don't understand. His lawyers have to be.
Well, his lawyer,
Lawyers only have so much control of their
I know,
clients.
but
Sometimes it's
right.
they
true.
just have to be why did you do that?
And
you-
Alec seemed like he was spiraling right after everything happened. I mean, he looked so disheveled. And remember, he got stopped by the paparazzi in the middle of the street.
and then
he
give a news conference.
Yeah.
an
This is
interview
exactly
then.
when you need to listen to counsel. When you're overwrought with emotion and you're not thinking clearly, Harvey, isn't that the time you lean on counsel and good guidance?
And his lawyer said, do not do this interview.
Right.
And you also
Please.
know he said, I'm going to do the interview.
yes.
And
You're
Matt had
100%
also
right.
said that he was kind of just going through the motions when he was hanging out with Alec,
Right.
when they were
Right.
kind of talking about what had happened. Almost seemed like he was looking for some kind of closure, but it seems like he has regrets.
When you
now.
think about the worst client you can have, it's the one who's too smart for their own good, right?
And
Alec
it's,
Baldwin is really bright. There's no doubt about that. But he's not a good client. You'd almost rather have someone who says, I don't know what I'm doing, and put yourself in their hands. That's not Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin is the type of guy who tries to run his own case and
Right.
gets himself in trouble.
And it's interesting with celebrities because the same thing happened with Travis Scott. that Travis Scott did an interview with Charlemagne. Travis Scott basically said, "Not my fault."
Yeah.
And
then the families came out.
backfires.
Yeah.
Right.
and it backfires, and they wouldn't even take his money
Yeah.
for the burial because they were
They
so
didn't want
angry.
anything to do with them.
So, it's just a truism that you just don't do something like this. But all of that aside, I mean, you listen to this guy, and it is so powerful because beyond Alec Baldwin, there is a lawsuit here and maybe a criminal prosecution. And in terms of bringing to life the tragedy, this guy can do that and bring it home.
Without question. It recenters who the victim was here. This is a man who is now a widower, and she had a young
and he has a
son.
kid, yeah.
He told that story in such a powerful fashion about
Yeah.
taking his son and saying, I had to say this bluntly because we were going to New Mexico to visit mommy, but I couldn't say, get excited, we're going to see her and have family fun. It
Right.
was extremely
so
emotional
sad.
without being overwrought. And
He wasn't like angry in the sense where he's like manic and screaming and I think a lot of people kind of expect that when you're like going through some hard grief, but he was like kind of collected and so emotional that you like really felt for him.
I agree. I think
Mhm.
he was even more powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, Kim Kardashian. So Kanye West, I mean, this is a game at this point, but Kim Kardashian is going to court next week, and she is going to ask a judge to formally restore her single status, and Kanye's too. But this is a routine thing that people often do where there are prolonged issues involving child custody or property, and somebody just wants to get divorced. And you understand now why she really wants it. So in the law, what we call it is bifurcating the divorce, meaning that the judge will essentially declare the divorce official now and then deal with the issues of custody and property later. And so that's what Kim has done. She's going in next week to have her single status restored. And she filed documents basically saying, Your Honor, look at what this guy is doing to me and my family on social media. He is causing us such emotional harm. Grant this, please.
Yeah, she's using his antics to sort of get her objective done, right? She's saying he is causing so much emotional distress. He needs the thundering reality of me becoming single officially in the eyes of the law. That's the only way it's going to sink into a person like Kanye is if, judge, you declare me single and we handle all the other stuff, the property and the custody down the road, but he needs to hear this now.
And I think she's
it's
right.
powerful.
I think it's really right. I think that's like the only thing that might get through to like Kanye to put like some sense of like back into him, like stop like
That
tweeting
it's
and stop like
over.
making this. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so at all. Like, I think, yeah, it's clever to use these, all the Instagram posts to kind of push the judge a little bit. But I think in reality, Kanye doesn't know what Kanye is going to do. And if she is now single, he's just going to go off even
but it's
more.
the strongest move that she has.
What is she supposed
So,
to do?
like,
Let it
yeah.
She's
languish
got nothing
forever and
else.
never
Yeah.
give her a
She's-
single
And
status?
I
She's in
think
a
it's-
serious
yeah.
relationship
And I
with
think it's
Pete.
good for her to get this on the record because when like custody does come up, like this is going to come up again. So like
That's-
get it like on the books
Well,
now.
100%. That
Yeah.
it could become an issue. But Kanye and his lawyers are really playing her. And here's why I say that. This is a very routine thing. And when you read these documents, here's what I'm told, that Kanye wants nothing to do with the divorce, with his lawyers. He is not communicating with his lawyers at all.
It's like
And
he's
in-
trying to ignore it.
and
You
in
can't
fact-
make it not happen by putting your head under the pillow.
And
though.
in
Right.
fact, the lawyers even say in their documents, his lawyers, we are having trouble getting in touch with Kanye and getting him to address this stuff. So I think the lawyers, I don't know how much Kanye was even involved in writing this, but when Kanye, what Kanye said through his lawyers in these documents that he filed, he said, look, I'm not against doing this and restoring single status, but I've got some conditions. And one of the conditions is I want to freeze all of our assets, including everything that's in the trusts, until everything gets worked out.
Which,
But
by the way, if you don't have a
why?
prenup,
Why?
is a good thing to do.
Well, here's the thing.
But there is a
it
prenup.
allows you
There
to
has
keep
to be a
everything
prenup.
status quo so that
This
nobody
is- this-
throws assets out the window.
I think this is phony baloney.
Here.
Because here, there not only is there a prenup, Kanye acknowledges the validity of the prenup. The prenup keeps their property separate. What Kim makes is hers. What Kanye makes is his. Kim is holding a lot of her stuff in a trust. He is holding a lot of stuff in a trust. By saying we want to freeze all the assets, knowing that all of that stuff's going to be handled down the road anyway, why would you freeze it if you can't be afraid she's going to spend her money because it's not your money.
No,
So what he's doing is he said, fine, I'll grant it, but I'm also going to make it impossible for you to do business because you pay for your business out of your trust. So you choose.
And by the way, for both of us, he
For
was
both of us.
willing to have mutually assured destruction because Kanye probably operates his businesses out of different trusts. So by saying nobody move any assets, he wants to hamstring both of them during the divorce. He's willing to do that to prove a point.
But I think what he's really doing is by saying I'll do it too is he's thinking, well, if Kim thinks that's a condition, she's just not going to get the divorce.
Yeah.
Right.
I
He
can
can
And I
still
think
back
that's
off.
the end game. Right.
I
But
could
that's
see
such
him
an
doing
absurd
it.
way of thinking.
But that's Kanye.
am I wrong?
No, I don't think I agree. This could be what's going through his mind. But how long do you play that game with frozen assets that she'll just back off, play a game of chicken where you can't pay your bills?
I think he will do it for a very long
It's
time.
wild to me. It's
Like,
wild.
it's Kanye.
It's like desperately trying to like grasp
Yeah.
at any straw to keep it together.
You know,
If
again,
the judge grants it next week for them to be single, can he appeal it in any way? Or
No,
like when the
it's
judge?
done.
Okay.
Look, she's going to get it. Here's the interesting question. She's going to get some
Yeah,
form of
it'll-
single.
it-
It is
no,
going to
it's
happen.
going to happen.
Whether the judge puts a little
no,
condition
the
on
judge is
something.
not going to put a condition on it.
The
It's
judge
gonna
won't
happen.
probably, but it is going to happen. She is going to get her single status. What does she do? Because if she celebrates in some way, puts a picture on Instagram with Pete,
Oh,
it's going to really
God.
light the fuse. I think she has to quietly accept the victory and then let the reality set in for Kanye. This is a
But
delicate
for how
situation
long?
still.
When has reality? Like,
You know what?
For how long?
Can I tell you something? I have, I've been a lawyer for so long, and
Yeah.
and just over the years, I've either covered things or worked on things or reported things involving divorces, and you guys have seen this. Sometimes it just lasts for years and never ends. I mean,
Didn't
how
that
many?
happen
So
with
she
Arnold
can't be, like,
Schwarzenegger
happy?
and
No,
Maria
no, no, no,
Shriver?
no.
That at
no.
least wasn't acrimonious. That's just
that
language.
wasn't
Yeah.
acrimonious.
Yeah.
They actually pulled it together. I'm thinking more Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie.
Oh, so
Yeah, we were just
sweet.
talking about.
How long is that? It's like 6-7 years.
Yeah,
And
it's still
2016.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2016 they got divorced.
He's got very little relationship with the kids as a result of this. I mean, this can go on forever when there's bad blood and somebody doesn't get over it. I mean, we've seen it with.
But
I mean,
don't you agree she's got to tread carefully, though? She's a very
Definitely. She
public
may not
person,
post it,
but
but
she is
she's
dealing with
going
a
to
very
celebrate it.
volatile personality.
And so awkward for
But
all
so she
the.
can't ever live her life. She can't like ever
you know
like.
what?
I don't know. I think it's a
Courtney, they're
strange
joined
thing.
at the hip for the rest of
Yeah.
their lives.
Oh my
They got 4
God.
kids.
Four
and the
young
kids are going to
kids.
graduate from school. They're going to get married. They're going to have kids. This goes on for the rest of their lives.
That sounds
That
exhausting.
is
It is.
daunting.
I know somebody. No, forget it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'm just going to
I
say,
mean, Kanye's always
know
been
I know
Kanye.
somebody in particular, a friend of mine, who I've known for many decades, whose parents got divorced, and it was acrimonious until the day one of them died.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Oh, divorces are the nastiest thing
They
ever.
can be.
Yes.
And some marriages, right, Derek?
Okay. Wow, we got this last night. Mel, our camera person, got Sharon Osbourne out,
Oh,
and
my gosh.
boy, the anger has not subsided. She got fired from the talk,
Uh-huh.
which personally is stupid. Excuse me for swearing.
Wow.
This podcast got blue all of a sudden.
I know.
I didn't know you worked blue, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's like when she got fired from the talk for talking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
She
She's
For being
defending
opinionated.
Piers
yeah,
Morgan.
don't be opinionated. But if
Yeah.
you don't have the right opinion, we're gonna fire you.
Yeah, at least
Yeah.
Whoopi just got suspended.
Right.
Like, come on.
Well, and Sharon got fired.
Yeah.
Look, she supported her friend Piers Morgan, who went after Meghan
Meghan
Markle
Markle.
on his television show in Great Britain. But look, she got fired, and you said Whoopi got suspended
Mhm.
for actually saying something incorrect, although Whoopi did apologize.
Yeah.
So our camera person wanted to know, when you look at this, maybe CBS will acknowledge they went too far, and maybe they want you back. Here's what happened.
You think with everything that happened with Whoopi Goldberg that you should get your job back?
No.
No?
No, I would never go back to that show again, ever.
You wouldn't.
No, because CBS sucks.
They
Big
do.
time.
There you go.
Wow. She doesn't mince words. I love Sharon Osbourne because this is what they hired Sharon Osbourne to be like. You know, Sharon, when she's asked a direct question, she doesn't give the politic answer. She never gives the sort of answer you'd hear from a publicist. She tells you what Sharon's thinking at that moment. And you get that unvarnished opinion. It makes you miss her. It makes you miss that version of the show.
It was so funny. Like, that was such a fun clip. And I was like, yes, this is why they hired her. Like, she was amazing.
Didn't it remind you who Sharon is and why everyone loves Sharon Osbourne?
She was great television on the Osbournes. Like, Sharon Osbourne's just great TV.
Now it's all milquetoast, anodyne statements. I don't want to watch a show like that.
Now.
You know what's going to happen, because I was thinking about this, that just as a producer, that you're going to sanitize all these shows, and then somebody is going to sit back in their chair over at one of the networks saying, well, this show sucks. Why does this show suck so bad?
Right.
Well, it sucks so bad because you took the life out of the show.
Yeah. You've buffed out all the edges and you're left with something that is boring.
Yes.
So boring.
And by the way,
and they're intimidating people.
Yes.
It's like we want an opinion. You know, it's like I'm sorry, guys. Bill Maher's so smart. I mean,
oh my God, it's Christmas come early.
To Bill Maher.
Well, but when Bill Maher,
it is Bill Maher Friday.
When Bill Maher said about Whoopi Goldberg getting suspended for stating her view on The View, it's like firing Pat Sajak for selling a vowel. That's what they do.
Yes.
That's what they do. And with Whoopi, it's like, she made a mistake, as all of us do, and then she apologized, which is noble.
And here's what's interesting.
And Whoopi, go sit in a corner for 2 weeks and reflect.
Yeah, that was
to a
so
60-year. It's like, are you kidding me?
It's
absurd.
It's so absurd, and you're getting these shows that
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for getting all worked up.
You're worked up.
I know.
I love when you get worked up.
It's just wrong. You know, we're looking. Look, we are looking at what is going on in Ukraine, which is the most heartbreaking, gut-wrenching.
Horrific.
I mean, when I looked at this video this morning of this father sobbing as he says goodbye to his daughter, not knowing if he's ever going to see her again because she had to flee for safety and he has to stay in Ukraine to fight. And you see how people are fighting for freedom. And here you've got we've got this wonderful country here. And because the extremes are now running our country, and all of these companies are kowtowing to the extremes, and they're suppressing the kind of lifeblood that makes a democracy great.
Yeah. Did you see all the videos of all the Russian citizens protesting in Russia, to stop the war that they
they said
didn't want it?
War, they wanted peace.
Yeah, it's just
and then you know what happened to them? They got arrested. Right. They arrested more than 1,000 people.
And they were so peaceful.
And by the way,
in the videos.
Maybe never to be seen again.
It's terrifying.
It's
terrifying.
That's the reality of living in a place like that. And look. When we talk about First Amendment, everybody says, First Amendment right, First Amendment right. Well, you know what? First Amendment, it's true. It doesn't apply to The View. It applies to government imposing laws on free speech. But the concept and the principle of it is the same. It's an extension. And if the citizens of the country and the companies in the country will not tolerate free speech, it makes it easier for the government to restrict it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It creates the conditions where real repression happens. When you start to do this at the margins and say, this is what the people want, then the government's like, the people are willing to tolerate this, then we'll go ahead and curtail for free speech as well. You're right. It moves in that direction, and it's boring for the show, and it's just a strange. Do you think this Ukraine situation that you brought up, which is interesting, will cause us to re-examine how important our freedoms are? When you see real repression in China during the Olympics, when you see the Ukraine facing a real invasion,
I definitely think we realize how privileged we are just to be an American.
I hope we should examine. We should re-examine how good we have it, that we have these kinds of what I call champagne problems that we deal with other countries.
What's really interesting at this table right now is just the generational divide, because I mean, and I love the fact that you guys are optimistic. Derek, less optimistic. I am pessimistic.
Yeah, no, it's true. We're the complete. I don't know. Anyway. It's really depressing.
Oh my God! And finally, oh my God!
Story, I can't.
A prince now, possibly without a son. A son,
but maybe not without a daughter.
A son without a prince, though.
Yes.
Maybe.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
so
we've been covering this. This is funny. Prinz von Anhalt, Frédéric von Anhalt, Zsa Zsa Gabor's ex-husband or widower,
Widower.
has adopted a 27-year-old man so that he could carry on the lineage of his princedom.
Oh my God.
Kevin.
Thing about it is,
Kevin's handsome.
Kevin
He
is
is
handsome.
really
He'll be
handsome.
just fine.
Yep.
thing about it is that they were doing this for an A&E show called Adults Adopting Adults. And Von Anhalt said he was doing it, again, to carry on the lineage and that he was going to impose conditions on Kevin to make sure that Kevin was a responsible prince in waiting and all blah, blah, blah.
Kind of wanted a caretaker and things like that.
Right.
Well,
Yes.
then the show just got canceled. And guess what else got canceled?
Kevin. Bye, Kevin.
Kevin didn't get picked up either.
No. Aw.
So he wants to unadopt Kevin.
That's so heartbreaking. But also, then how do you go back to your biological parents and be like, "Hey, can I come back home?"
Yeah.
Prince Anhalt didn't want me either.
Well, but
Like,
the thing is,
Somehow I
if you,
think the parents were in on this.
but if you look at Kevin's Instagram, he's like traveling all over the world. And even in our clip that we got of Prince von Anhalt, he said that like Kevin's like living this like bachelor life. I mean, he's 27 years old. He was like just in Africa. And he's like, look, I need someone that's like here, that is disciplined and like committed to like carrying on this legacy.
Well, this is the problem, right? Prince von Anhalt is kind of a celebrity. So as
right.
soon as he adopts someone, that person becomes a bit of a celebrity.
yeah.
So look at Kevin's Instagram. As soon as he's part of the scene, he's out there taking photos with other celebrities.
every
taking
single
photos with
time.
Jamie Foxx.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah. So how do you hold Kevin in? It'll happen with everyone, right?
Yes.
His
Right.
next adoptee is also going to get access to a new world. And why are they going to want to clean Von Anhalt's bedpan?
Well, hold
No.
on.
Well,
Hold on.
'cause-
There's no next adoptee.
He said
Wait,
it.
wait.
think so?
So our camera girl actually got Prince van Anhalt out yesterday, and he's got a plan of who he's going to adopt next.
I need someone tough. Women are very tough, you know?
Yeah.
And I need a tough woman that says, hey, wait a minute, I do what you have to do. I'm going to be the next Zsa Zsa Gabor, and I do what she wanted me to do. I do it for you.
That's a problem. Zsa Zsa was his wife, and he wants an
Yes.
adopted Zsa Zsa?
Yeah.
We got issues.
But I mean,
We got issues,
he
man.
makes a good
What?
point that females are strong, they're more disciplined, they
Here's-
are.
Charlie.
Yeah.
How do they carry on the lineage, which was his whole point to begin with?
Hey, you don't.
It's
you
still-
don't have
wait,
to
it's
have
still
his
It's the
last
21st
last name.
century.
He said, well, I'm just telling you what he said.
But it's the last name.
He doesn't have any kids. That's
Yeah.
the point. Can be a girl, can be a boy. Look, I get why he
What's
wanted
the
a boy for
difference
the
now?
last name, but it doesn't matter.
Well, what matters is if she gets married and she is traditional.
You
and
don't
she,
think the guy will take the Von Anhalt name? Is that how you say it?
I dubbed thee Von Anhalt. With a sword.
Okay,
You are
with
now.
that, we'll
Oh,
we'll
boy.
see you Monday, everybody. Have a good
Bye.
weekend.